Now, children, I am going to discuss the operations with complex number. This is a very important topic because here we are going to deal with the algebra portion of the complex numbers. That is how to add, how to subtract, how to multiply, how to divide two complex numbers we are going to learn. Now, more or less in addition and subtraction there is no problem because that goes as we do it in algebra, that is add the like terms together, that is real and real part could be added together, imaginary and imaginary part could be added together, and then collect all the parts like terms together and you get the resultant complex number by adding two numbers or by subtracting two numbers. So that is simple algebra as we follow in number system, one and the same here. But when it comes to multiplication of two complex numbers, then how do we multiply? Now, before multiplying two complex numbers, I would also mention what is negative of a complex number. Now, negative of a complex number means you are changing the sign of the complex number, that is putting minus to the real part as well as to the imaginary part. So that is minus z is if negative of a complex number, where z is the complex number. Then minus of x minus iy will be called as negative of a complex number. Now just try to differentiate between negative and conjugate, because children most of the times they make mistake in these two. Conjugate is where you are writing z bar, that is a bar over the number, and negative is where you are writing a minus sign in front of the number. So there is a basic difference that in negative you are going to change real and imaginary part both signs, but in conjugate you will be only changing the sign of imaginary part. Hence, that is the basic difference between conjugate and negative. Now comes multiplication of a complex numbers, that is two complex number, call them z1 and z2, where z1 is x1 plus iy1 and z2 is x2 plus iy2. As usual, multiplication of two algebraic expressions as we do, same is the procedure here, but because of I, there will be certain changes here and there, and they are to be noted properly, because when we do it in exercises and while doing the sums, we have to be very cautious regarding those i's. Now I have done it as x1 into x2, term wise multiplication is to be done, then plus I square into y1 y2. I square because this will be coming as a real part. I square could be replaced by minus 1. So x1 x2 minus I y1 y2 will be the first portion, that is called the real part, plus I into x1 into y2 plus x2 into y1, term wise multiplication as I mentioned. So every term is to be multiplied, hence you will be getting in all four terms, and two terms are to be combined as imaginary and two terms become as real part. So x1 x2 minus y1 y2 is the real part, plus I into x1 y2 plus x2 y1 becomes the imaginary part. Hence, this is the product of two complex numbers z1 into z2, and that is how you will be multiplying any two set of complex numbers like this, and it could be extended to any number of complex numbers products. That means if you have to multiply three complex numbers, so multiply first two, then whatever product comes, multiply the resultant with the third number and keep on proceeding like this. Only procedure is to be repeated as it is. I hope you follow. When we do the questions, it will be more clear to you. Now comes division, which is very important. Now, first and foremost, whenever you are going to divide a complex number, by convention, we don't keep imaginary part in division or in denominator. So, z1 upon z2 is actually x1 plus iy1 upon x2 plus iy2. But since we don't want I in the denominator, we'll have to multiply by the conjugate. Now I'm using this word conjugate, that is only to use your algebra formula a plus b into a minus b, so that a square minus b square will come in the picture and I will be removed. So x2 minus iy2 will be the conjugate of denominator. And when you are multiplying any number, only the denominator? No, not possible. You will have to multiply numerator also. Hence, when you multiply numerator and denominator both by conjugate, you are going to get the new complex number, which will be called as the division of two complex number, or resultant of the division procedure. Now, how do we do that? Denominator now becomes x2 square minus I square y2 square, but minus I square could be replaced by minus 1, and hence it becomes x2 square plus y2 square. Please note this step very carefully. And in the numerator, multiply term wise, as I have shown in the multiplication just now. Same procedure is used here, and write real part and imaginary part separately. So obviously x1 x2 minus I square into y1 y2, and because of minus I square, when you replace by minus 1, it becomes plus y1 y2. So x1 x2 plus y1 y2 plus I into x2 y1 minus x1 y2. That will be the complete denominator. Hence, this is a complex number which will be, real part will be first bracket upon x2 square plus y2 square, and imaginary part will be second bracket, that is x2 y1 minus x1 y2 upon x2 square plus y2 square. So this is the complete procedure for writing division of a complex number. Now one more thing is to be noted, reciprocal of a complex number, which I have not mentioned here, but that also could be done by 1 upon z, and when you are writing z, then multiply by the conjugate denominator and numerator, you will get the reciprocal of a complex number. Now while doing the sums, we will make use of it.